Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the PR training for District 124 on behalf of our District PR Manager, Rohin Nag, Distinguished Toastmaster. I am Vandita Shukla, Associate Program Quality Director, and it is my honor and privilege to have you all on this platform. And together we will learn about the nuances of website development. But why is this session so special? This is a one-of-a-kind session in which we learn how we can modernize the club website and extend our club's digital reach by taking advantage of WordPress, the world's most popular website software. Building a WordPress allows you to build a more complete and a compatible and a competitive website in today's world, with design flexibility, social media integration, and support for mobile phones. Before we begin, there are certain rules that we should abide by, and those include: please do not have crosstalks while the session is going on. Please do not unmute yourself until you are asked to speak. Please do not have derogatory talks in the chat section. Please keep your cell phone on silent mode. With that, I would like to invite the trainer for today. We have with us David F. Carr, Distinguished Toastmaster, who is the creator of Toastmost club website hosting service, which offers a variety of brand-compliant WordPress designs plus extensions for agenda. These websites also offer other business functions and certain other administrative tools that can help you in your day-to-day club function. He has studied internet best practices since he was an editor at Internet World magazine in the 1990s. He's the author of several WordPress plugins and currently works as editor of digital insight research for SimilarWeb. The dais is open, and we hope that this session helps you in increasing the reach and helping the public relations of your club in a better manner. With that, I welcome, with a huge round of applause, our distinguished trainer for today, David F. Carr.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me here. Now, as I go through the session, I'd encourage you to enter questions in the chat, so that let me know if I'm going too fast over something. The point I just made blew past you, or the thing I tried to demo you were confused by, so that I can back up and address those questions, go over those things again as we need to along the way. This is going to be a PowerPoint-free presentation, but I will do a lot of screen sharing, and so I might not see some of the questions that are entered in the chat right away. Our MC will interrupt me to say, "Hey, go back, explain that to them again." So that's the approach that we'll take. So as was mentioned, WordPress is the world's most popular website software that's used to set up both big corporate websites, small business websites, nonprofit websites, individual blogger websites. It certainly does have competition. WordPress powers maybe 45% of the websites around the world, according to various estimates. There are other platforms like Wix that are trying to get in on that action, things that are corporate. But from my point of view, the advantage of WordPress is that it is very extensible. And so anybody who has some coding knowledge can write a plugin to WordPress that makes it do something additional, like manage agendas instead of just publishing blog posts. So that's something that I've been working on for a number of years. I've been working on this for a decade in one form or another. It was originally just a one-off hack for my home site. And but it has developed into something that I've tried to share with as many clubs as possible. And it also does depend on the support of its members. So there is a fee. You'll get a 3 month free trial, and then after that it's $50 US per year, or $4.75 per month. So, whether that's affordable for your club or not, I don't know. Now, the software actually I give away for free. So if you have the right technical skills and you have a server to set the software up on, you can get the components and set them up yourself. And a few people who have their own web development skills have done that. But the point of Toastmost is to make it easy for the non-techie, relatively easy for the non-techie to get something up and running quickly. There are multiple versions of WordPress. There's something called WordPress.com where you can just sign up and get a website. It's similar to that, where you're going to just fill out a form and get a website. And so let me show you that quickly to get us started. So this is the homepage for Toastmost.org. And so the main thing that's important on this page is there's a section that says, is this a club website? Is the district website? Put in the name, put in the address you'd like to have. And it's going to be, initially, it will be something like myclub.toastmost.org. Now, if you want to register a domain name or you have an existing domain name for your club or your district, it will work with this. There's just a little bit of extra setup involved for that. The form also asks where in the world you are, when you meet, and so we can do something like this. And it asks you what time zone you're in. And it needs to know that because there's a scheduling function, and it needs to know when an event is past and when it is in the future. And then these are the different designs that are available. So these are each of these is just a starting point. You can take them, you can modify them further. Many of you may have better design skills than I do. But what I've done is I've taken a standard WordPress theme and I've customized it so that it has the standard approved and blessed Toastmasters brand colors baked into it. So when you go into the editor and you're trying to change something, it's going to suggest a brand approved color. So that it helps keep you out of trouble with headquarters. I've been in trouble with headquarters from time to time, and I don't like it. So this is where you would go to get your website. And I'm going to post links to all these things in the chat, actually. I'll share them again later near the end. Remind me if I should forget. But that's my contact information. That's the Toastmost site and some other resources. There is also a WordPress for Toastmasters website. So that's WP4 Toastmasters.com that has a bunch of documentation, and it actually has a whole detailed video course. So you can sort of look at these individual videos depending on what it is you're trying to learn how to do. So it covers some of the things more thoroughly than I'm going to be able to do in this session. But the advantage of being here live is that you can ask questions along the way. So just to give you a couple of examples, this was the original WordPress for Toastmasters website. Before I set up Toastmost, I created some customizations, and Club Awesome is in Coral Springs, Florida. But we actually meet in a hybrid format, so we welcome online attendance. And there's actually a little widget here that allows me to switch time zones. And I don't know whether I'm going to necessarily be able to find your exact time zone. But for example, let's see, I found earlier, Mauritius. If I was in Mauritius, this would be 3 p.m. In the afternoon, that 7 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time meeting. And so if I want to register as a guest, I can click through and I'll get a registration form. And if I'm a member, I click through and I can sign up for a role. I think I already have a role for this meeting. Actually, I'm speaking. So I don't want to take another role, but it's pretty much click, put in your speech details if it's a speech, and you record that to the agenda. And then we have tools for things like sending out an email. So this is where I would send out an email saying, gee, we have too many open roles for this week's agenda. Please come help take a role. So it'll show the roles that are already filled, and there are these one-click sign-up links so that when this lands in your email inbox or the member's email inbox, they can quickly sign up and take that role. Online Presenters is a club that I started in 2017 or led to charter in 2017 that's focused on webinar skills, online education skills. And so we have the same thing. We have the RSVP button up top. We have a testimonial video. And then we had this on Club Awesome too, a bunch of different workshops that we've held. And what I want people to see when they come to this site, not necessarily that it's the design is perfect, but I want them to see that there's a lot going on at this club and that I have an opportunity to learn some cool things if I become a member. This is a district website that is hosted through Toastmost. They do have their own web domain associated with it. And I support them from time to time, but mostly their district webmaster manages this, has me kind of on call for when something goes wrong to help them fix it or help them improve it. I also worked with Founders District, so the original Toastmasters district. They have their own web hosting, but they use some of the design templates. Tragic Comedy Toastmasters is another one that has its own domain registered. And they've, all these have remixed the elements in different ways. And that's the power of what you can do. And I'll show you how to make some of these customizations. And just for context, I mentioned that WordPress is used by some big websites. So this is the New Yorker magazine, which is news and style and opinion out of New York. Here is TechCrunch. So that is a major technology publication. And, here's an example of one that I do for outside of Toastmasters. I work with this specialty farm that hosts gourmet dinners. And so this is the page advertising one of their upcoming events. To show you a little bit about how you work with WordPress, actually, there's something I wanted to ask as kind of a poll question up front. You could either post it in the chat or raise your hand. Who here has worked with WordPress before? Has managed a website? Is there anybody here who has done stuff with WordPress before? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Couple. Okay. Well, I guess one point I would make is that if you don't know WordPress, it is at least a transferable skill. So that if you study up on this in your role as VP of PR or whoever is managing the website for your club or your district, you're learning a skill that you can take to your small business, you can take to your nonprofit, and you can use there. Whereas if you become the best person in the world at working with Free Toast, you've learned something that only applies within the Toastmasters universe. And I shouldn't be too critical of Free Toast. It started out, as I understand it, as a volunteer project. Later got some financial support from Toastmasters International. But I would say it has not necessarily kept up with the times in terms of supporting mobile phones and things like that. So there are definitely some things where I believe I am ahead of the game, or I can help you be ahead of the game in terms of supporting these things more consistently. So I used to tell people that WordPress is nothing to be intimidated by. It's just a big web-based word processor. Well, it's a little bit more than that. There are dimensions in terms of design and online business too that you want to manage through your website. But this is my demo site, which you can come to, and there's actually a test login on the homepage. So if you just wanted to practice what is it like to sign up for a role or sign up for a speech through this site, you could do that, and then it points over to how you would set up your own site. If I want to edit this page, I would just go to the top, and there's a link here that says Edit Page. And this may take a moment, but here we go. So this opens up in the editor. It gives me controls for, I just can come in and just start writing. And when I am working on entering some content, the controls that are displayed actually change as I go through. So if I look at if you can see the sidebar on the right, it says I'm editing a paragraph. But as soon as I click on the subheading, it says I'm editing a heading, and it gives me different controls. There are different controls on the button bar, and there are different controls over to the right. If I click on this image, I get options for formatting this image. For example, if I wanted to take it and square it off, I can do that. There are other tricks with transparency and all sorts of things. And there is a lot to learn here. Again, I'm making the argument that it's worth you taking the time to learn it. One other thing is you can have, so these are referred to as content blocks. The heading is a content block, the paragraph is a content block, but you can also have layout blocks like columns. So this is a 2-column layout. If I wanted to make it a 3-column layout, I could change that, and that would give me room for another row of content to the right. So to be able to see what I'm doing when I'm working with these more complicated layouts, it helps to use this little button up here that says Document Overview. It looks like a little stair step icon. If I click on Document Overview, then it opens up and it allows me to see that there's a columns block, and within that is one representing the left column, one representing the right column. And these columns are also set up to have these thick borders around them. So I'm not going to be able to cover everything that we're going to, that you might want to customize, but I'm just trying to give you at least the gist of it. Now, how do you get one of these sites? So what you do is you go to that homepage, and I've just captured a couple of screenshots. So here I filled in Demo 124 as the name of the club. The initial web address is going to be demo124.toastmost.org. We put in our city, we put in our meeting schedule, and it's going to try and extrapolate from that meeting schedule what your future, the actual individual dates are going to be. I've put in the time and the time zone and selected a design. If everything goes properly, after you click submit, you're going to get back a confirmation message that says the website's been created. Here it is. Here's where you go. Here's how you reset your password, and so on. And actually, if you've never dealt with any of this before, there is a step up front where you have to sign up for my email list, because I want whoever's the administrator to be getting the emails whenever there's an update or a change. I want other people to be on that list too, but particularly the people who own one of these websites. So after I've gone through that process and I land on my brand new site, this is what I would have so far. So there's a basic menu set up top. There is some default content, including an image taken from the Toastmasters International Library of Approved Images, which you can keep that if you want, but really you want to replace it with something that's more specific to your club. There's a widget down the bottom where it displays your latest blog post. Well, there's a default one in there that says we're creating a WordPress for Toastmasters website. You can delete that or change it as you like. So you see, can we mute whoever's okay. So there is a link here that says, please visit the club website setup wizard. So this is supposed to expedite the process of setting up your site initially. So this is set up by default to be a meeting that has 3 speakers and 3 evaluators. If I have more than that, I can change it. We can alter the structure. If you don't have table topics, you can turn that off, but you can say it's after speakers and before the evaluators. So some basic choices you can make here just to get you started. And when I click next here, it'll come back confirming that a series of events have been created. My schedule was Wednesday at noon, and so it's identified all the upcoming Wednesdays at noon. And if there was one that happened to fall on a holiday or something like that, you could just delete it or change it to a note saying we won't be meeting on this date. So we now have a bunch of things that are on the site. There is a space here where I can add a couple of other accounts, perhaps for officers, so that they can come in and try out the website. And let me stop the share for just a moment. Can we try and find who's got their mic open? Okay, well, seems to be fixed. Okay. All right. And then the last screen is just one that is trying to give you some help tips. And a bunch of this stuff actually gets emailed to you. You'll get some reminders. So I've tried to think through what software people call the onboarding process of how people get acclimated to the software and can start to use it productively. So these tips are in there, but I can also just go back out to the site and start customizing it. So it's added the widget for people to sign up online. Now that's optional. Your club might not want to operate that way. But I found it's useful because every time somebody fills out the form, we have the VP of membership get an email. So that's essentially a lead for her. That's somebody she can follow up with and try and make sure they actually show up for the meeting and that we follow up with them appropriately. If I want to edit this page, again, I can click edit up top. There is this is the placeholder widget for the invitations. There are different ways of setting that up. I can move this paragraph to be up top, and then I probably would want to say a little bit more about where we are, what's so special about our club. If I want to add an image, anytime I want to add a new content block, I can just go to a blank line and there'll be a plus sign at the end of the line to add a new content block. There's also a plus sign in the upper left to add a new content block. And we can see that this one is a little bit more abbreviated. This gives us some more extensive options. And if I search for image, it actually shows me that I can add a gallery as well as an individual image. In this case, I'm just going to add an image. Oh, let's see, actually, it's adding it down at the end here. It's not really what I wanted. I could say that I want to upload something. I can either click to upload, or I can grab something from over here and drag and drop it into one of these upload slots. And then again, as I showed you before, we can manipulate this a little bit. We can have it be full size, we can have it be medium sized, or we can have it be a little squared off thumbnail, depending on what we need for our design, how important this image is to our page. So we can upload, or we can also look at our media library, where our media library just has two things in it right now, the Toastmasters logo and this image. But over time, you may have photos of officers, um, other graphical elements that you use on a regular basis. You can add all those things in. And let's see. I mentioned that you can move things. They're on the button bar, there are these move up and move down icons. That's how I did that. There is also some support for drag and drop. Sometimes that's a little bit trickier. So that at least gives you a start on understanding what you would want to do to set up your homepage. Let's switch from that to talking about agendas. Because 90% of the value you're getting from using this setup is the value you get from the base Toastmasters, not the base Toastmasters, the base WordPress system. But the agenda management is the more custom piece I've added on top. So I better explain some of that. So let's see. I click through to this page. Now, if I'm a guest and I don't have a password, I'm going to be directed down to the form at the bottom. But because I'm a logged in member, it's going to give me the agenda or a view of the agenda with all the sign up roles that are available. And from here, I can either do take role. I'm logged in here as backup admin, so, but normally it would say David Carr right here. And let's see, a couple of things I would be able to demo better from my test site. So let me do that. Let me switch to that for a minute. Let's see. Okay, so I just wanted to go through a framework where I actually have I have a bunch of dummy accounts of other members on this site. So I showed you take role, but I can also go into the edit mode where I can pick somebody else, and we'll have Clara Oswald step in to be Toastmaster of the day. And see, for a speaker, as soon as I assign a speaker, I should also get options to set the path, the level, the project. The timing can be tweaked. So I can put in the title and the intro. And the title and the intro can be displayed on your agenda, or they can just be on a separate page that the Toastmaster of the day can look those up. But if a Toastmaster of the day has been named, as soon as somebody puts in their title and their intro, they'll also get an email notification to the Toastmaster of the day. And so I've tried to think through a lot of these things in terms well, particularly I was leading the setup of an all online club, and this is years before COVID. We did it for positive reasons because we wanted to train for doing webinars and other online events. But there's also, for example, a a web-based Toastmasters membership form so that instead of sending somebody a PDF, you can send them a link. They can fill out the form. Your VP of membership can sign off that they're approved, that they've paid, and then you can forward that to Toastmasters International, and they have accepted that. I had some back and forth with them to make sure we got it in a format that was acceptable. So part of what you're getting here is not just a snazzy front-end look, but hopefully some digital business processes for your site that are going to help you run your club more effectively and efficiently. So, okay, there was one other thing that I wanted to show. I showed you how to edit, but there's also a button here that says suggest. So if I go into suggest, what I get is some hints of who hasn't done this role in a while. But this person hasn't done that role in a while. What I'm going to do
Ali,
is I'm going to, hello? Is there a question? Okay. When I look through the membership list, I can see what's the last time this person did that role. And if they haven't done it in a while, maybe this is a good opportunity to suggest that they take the role. So this is going to be another thing that's done by email. They will get a message saying, I'm nominating you for a role. To confirm, click here. If you're not going to be able to attend, click here. They can also come in and pick a different role. But it's meant to be a quick and easy way of getting people to sign up to the agenda and make it as easy as possible for them to do the right thing, which is to take that open role. Now, I know some clubs don't necessarily operate on a volunteer basis. Maybe you tell people what role they're going to take at the next meeting. You can just do that through the edit mode. But my clubs have tended to work more in terms of asking for volunteers for things. I do see a raised hand, so please go ahead. Is Michael Merkel?
Yes, hi David, it's Michael. Thank you very much for this really insightful presentation. I've been playing a bit with Toastmost. I think it's a really excellent initiative, so thanks for that. I had one quite specific question. So people, a guest can sign up for a meeting, and I tried. So I tried with my private account. I signed up. I got perfectly like an email, nicely confirming it, but there was nowhere in the system I could see this appearing. So where can we see who signed up for that meeting?
Okay, we're talking about guests, correct?
Yes.
Right. So there is a section of the website where there is an RSVP report. And by the way, you can change that language. This one doesn't have any RSVPs for right now. Let's say, but you would see all those entries listed here, and then I can also go in and look at my upcoming events and see. Let's I would have to switch over to a real website to see actual details, and actually I shouldn't do that because then I'd be sharing people's private information. But anyway, that's where you'd look for it. And it's also, if you go into the dashboard under RSVP events, this screen is RSVP report. So that's everybody who is registered. Does that cover it? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Then I probably overlooked it. I will take a closer look into it.
I am probably guilty of adding too many items to these menus because it's been built up over time. A lot of things get added, and some things should be taken away to try and simplify it too.
Yeah, it was slightly overwhelming in the beginning, but once you spend a few hours on it, it starts to become all very clear. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay. So I covered suggest. There is also an assign mode. I use this sometimes at the end of a meeting where I don't want to necessarily see all the stuff that's going on the agenda. I just want to see which roles are filled and which roles aren't filled so that we can plug people into the roles that are open. So this is just sort of a simplified version of the editing. There is also an organize mode. And so this is where we would come in and say, for example, that normally we have 4 speakers, but this week we have a dignitary visiting with us, so we'll only have time for 3 speeches. And when I change that from 4 to 3, you might see that some of the other dimensions also change. So right now, down here it says, based on the time allotted to each of these activities, the meeting will end at 1 p.m. This was a meeting that was supposed to start at noon. But if I increase the amount of time for table topics, it'll actually show down the bottom that based on the time allotted, it'll end a little bit after 1 o'clock. So this is meant to be a way that you can adjust your agenda, but then still try and make sure that you're going to end on time. So it's meant to be a planning tool as well as a way of reorganizing your agenda. And also I can move these things up and down on the agenda. So maybe we have a club that instead of doing table topics in the middle of the meeting, does it at the very end. And so I'm going to move that down. I actually did try and get this to work as a drag and drop thing, but I don't have that working currently. So I've moved this down to the bottom of the page. Now, I showed a minute ago something about blocks, and actually another way to edit all of this is to go into the editor here, and each of these roles is actually represented as a block, and there are options on the sidebar. And the reason I have that ability to edit it, make some edits on the front end, is that there are some people who may be tasked with doing some changes on your website, adjusting the agenda, but they haven't gotten the full WordPress training treatment necessarily. They're not necessarily the people who edit your homepage. They just want to change the number of speakers from 4 to 3. So I'm trying to provide an alternate way of doing that that could work for your club. So that's this row of buttons along the bottom. It's sign up, suggest. There is also an evaluation function. So again, this is something where I'm trying to rethink a business process for the web, where instead of emailing PDFs back and forth, we have a web-based version of the pathways evaluation. You can fill this off. It gets emailed off to the speaker, and it also gets archived on the website. If we have time and need to show it, I could show you, my archive past evaluations, that kind of thing. So again, I mean, maybe some of you may be back to doing fully in-person meetings, but if you're hybrid or you're meeting online, you're not sitting there, you can't pass a piece of paper to somebody, or we used to have the competent communicator manual that we would hand off to somebody and have them mark off our evaluation. Now it is time to have some more digital processes, and there's some of that built into Basecamp, and you can draw your own conclusions about how wonderful that is. Let's see. I probably should just take a pause here to ask for questions before I motor mouth through the entire hour. So I did get one question, but are there other things that I should back up and go over? I did see we have somebody here from Quebec, and WordPress has good support for multiple languages. my software potentially could have better support for multiple languages. I actually was working with a club in France at one point that had worked on translating some of the menu labels and things like that, so that they would appear in French rather than in English. So that kind of stuff is possible. It just needs some kind of more of a community effort. And an awful monolingual American, so I'm no help in that department. I know how to code things so that it can be translated, but I'm not the one to do the translations. Are there any other questions, or if not, I can go back to my song and
Yes.
dance.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey.
Kezang from Bhutan. I'm the president for Thimphu Toastmasters Club, and we recently, just 2 weeks back, we joined the Toastmasters community. Bhutan is the 152nd country to join the community. So, and
Congratulations. Great.
thank you, and this is wonderful. I mean, you have made life for everyone very easy, and as a new club, of course, we are still waiting for our legal papers to be formalized, and then coming on board. We got the club number and all of those. Just a few things getting sorted out this week.
Yeah, a prospective club can set up one of these sites, and take advantage of that 3-month. There is a 3-month trial period, because I figure people, even people who are pretty serious about it, need some time to test it out, see if this is going to work for my club and my members. So I do try and allow for that. But I will also say that I am trying to balance the books on this, not necessarily to make money, but to not lose money. And so
exactly. My question was around that. I think I missed the part where you mentioned about the cost. I got the 3-month free trial, but if you can further elaborate on the cost as a new club, it takes time to raise funds, and so
I understand.
And maybe some dynamics around that we can talk to you and discuss. But in a normal situation, what is the cost implications like?
It's $50 US for a year, or $475 US per month. So you can sign up. There's like a subscription plan where it'll bill a credit card every month.
Sorry, I couldn't get you. You said $50 a year or $475 a month. That doesn't. So 4.75. You mean?
Well, it adds up to a little bit more than $50 per year. But I'm getting I've got credit card transaction fees coming out of that amount. And
I got it. I mean, I just when you said 475, I was wondering without the point.
Oh no, I'm sorry, $4.75.
Yep. Okay.
I should be more careful about that. Yes. And there is also a possibility a district could. I mentioned that some clubs have set up their own sites, but a district could also set up something parallel to.
Does that also include the domain name cost, or is it just the platform?
Well, I don't. Well, in other words, what does the money cover? Is that what you're asking?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Does
it cover domain hosting?
So I have to turn around and pay a web host, and I've had to, because there's actually a lot of software and logic running for calculating all these things for the meetings. I've actually had to up the horsepower of the web server.
All of those. I
there are expenses.
Just wanted to get clarity on whether that $50 a year includes, say, Toastmasters, thimphutoastmasters.org.
Well, it gives you again, it would be something like myclub.toastmost.org is what you'd start out with. If you want your own domain name, then you would go to a domain registrar like GoDaddy, or there are lots of them. You would register the domain, and then there are a few technical details we have to go back and forth on to when that domain is going to go active. There are security things, because
Right.
I want every time you enter your password, I want to make sure that that's encrypted. So there's just a little bit of a process, a little bit more of a process if you want to set up your own domain.
So, but you also do the domain name. Is it an option where you also,
I do not sell you the domain name or provide you the domain name. You
got
go
it.
get
Thanks.
it, and then I give you a couple of technical parameters that you have to enter into GoDaddy or whatever web hosting provider you have.
Perfect. Thank you. Very clear.
Okay. And I was saying that, a district could also potentially, I use a version of WordPress called WordPress multi-site, which is how I'm able to host multiple websites, but they all use the same common software. And so I take responsibility for keeping WordPress up to date, for keeping whatever plugins we provide up to date. Um, Unfortunately, sometimes when you see WordPress in the news, it's a huge security breach related to WordPress. Usually that is some plugin that was, poorly coded, or the developer made a mistake, or there was an oversight, or and I've been called on the carpet for security errors in my plugins and had to update them. So ideally, the plugin developer updates that, and you just update the plugin on the server. I did have to contact one of my clubs the other day to say that the plugin they had added for gathering poll results had a security vulnerability, and there was no patch available yet. So I just said, I've turned this off on your site. Assuming it gets updated, we can turn it back on. Otherwise, we may have to delete it from the server. So I know some of you here are technical, but if there is a flaw in any piece of web software that allows hackers to break in, they potentially can get everybody's password and cause a lot of damage. And you come in one Monday morning and your website has been replaced with pornography, that kind of thing. So it does happen, but I take some responsibility for helping to guard against those kinds of issues. Let's say. So I did get the question about. I think I covered the question about can languages other than English be supported. I don't know if there are other questions in the chat that I may have missed along the way. Any other questions now? All right. Well, I probably have a couple more minutes worth of material that I can cover with you. Let me go back to screen sharing. Oh, actually, here's something I wanted to share just in terms of inspiration. This gentleman, Jamie Marsland, does videos. He's a YouTuber who does videos. One of the things he'll do is he'll give himself 30 minutes to recreate a famous website. So he's done apple.com. This one was TechCrunch. And he basically starts off with the blank canvas and shows how you would recreate all those design elements in the WordPress program. And I think I had turned on sharing sound. So I just want to show you, this is something else that he came up with that was pretty cool. And he shows you how to do it if you watch the full video.
Every single one of those effects was created just using the core WordPress cover block and a sprinkling of.
Okay. So I just share that again for inspiration to show you what kinds of things are possible in WordPress now. There's a lot more drama that you can add. When you set up this site, you chose a theme, which is a basic design framework for your site. But I can go in here and choose a different theme that maybe is a little bit more dramatic or different in some way. And then I can customize it further. And some of the customization techniques, I'm going to get to, I see there's a question, I'll answer it in just a second. Some of the customization techniques I would address by going, instead of to edit page, I can go to edit site. And this is only available to the administrator, not to any lower level author on the site. And so I could come in here and change some basic things. So I could change the menu up top. All these things become available for me to edit. I could add additional components. I was thinking that, you know, when COVID happened, it would have been great to be able to have a message at the top of the site on every single page saying we're now meeting online. We used to meet in person, now we're online. Here's how to connect with us. If I wanted to change this color scheme, I can go into this section that says colors. And I think I could change the background image. And this is where I was showing you, these are Toastmasters approved brand colors. So if I wanted this to be the magenta color, I could change it to be that. I would save that and go out. And you know, again, I'm showing you these things quickly. This is maybe not the effect that you would want, but I'm just trying to show you that you have lots of options with this setup. Let's see. So let me drop out of there. Mr. Hassan, is it? Please ask your question.
Hi, good evening. So it was a fantastic session. I was listening to your all the words very carefully because you have already shared the link, Toastmost, and I had a look with your hosting services. So first of all, I want to raise the question with the templating because through all the presentation, you have shown that you are editing the template by block editing. So this is very basic and something we are doing in Toastmasters and the website that we have for the TI website, toastmasters.org. They have a fantastic design and fantastic options, fantastic templating with the event system. So we need to have something similar like this. Yes, it won't be able to replicate the 100%, but we need to be something like a nearby, you know. But unfortunately, by block editor, this is quite impossible to draw the same quality or same type of templating with the website that we are going to build. So we have the website in District 124, and this is something like the website that matches with the Toastmasters International website. So what they have done in District 124, they have built the website with the help of Elementor. So Elementor is a popular plugin and editor for WordPress. So if we can transfer or we can step up with the Elementor with some ready-made templating that you have already built some ready-made templates at the dashboard. That's fantastic. Okay. But for multiple pages, what I think, this is my suggestion, because I'm working with the WordPress for last 8 years, 8 years or more, that could be more. So I have faced a lot of issues during templating to code editor to block editor. So this is good for the blog website. But when we will present something linking the lot of options, I think it won't be fruitful. Number 1 point. Number 2 point is the security option. As we know, WordPress has been hacked several times, and around 20 lakh, or I don't know the exact counting number. I can't remember, but a huge number of websites have been hacked due to the low security system. As we are using everything free and we are using the ready-made thing, so there is a question with the security system. So here, if you could add the two-factor authorization system during the admin login only the role of admin login. No other roles are required to be integrated with the two-factor authorization system. So it could be better for us to secure a website with your hosting or any hosting. Number third, the event system. You have integrated the RSVP event plugin system. It's good, but if it could be better if we could align with the contact forms with the event system with a lucrative look, because contact forms are must to draw the attention of the visitor that could be our potential members. So this is also important. Another thing that we need to have a protected system for reserving the file, like PDF file or fillable PDF file or any file that needs to be kept at our website. So these things could be implemented. If it could be implemented, so I think our whole website or the theme of our Toastmasters presenting through the website or web pages, it could be better. So that's my suggestion and question to you. I hope this is not much, but I think it will be helpful for all of us who are designing the banners, who are pretending to design the website for our areas, divisions, or clubs. And thank you very much once again for arranging such these programs, and also Toastmaster Vandita for arranging this amazing session. Over to you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay. I'm not actually sure that I got every one of those points. You're working on a district website, if I understand right, and using Elementor, which for those who don't know, Elementor is what's called a page builder plugin to WordPress that gives additional design options. And a lot of those things became popular before the block editor capabilities that I was showing you existed. Certainly, it's only in the last couple of years that we've gotten complete editing of the header, the footer, all those design elements, the colors, through a version of the WordPress editor. It used to be, if you wanted to make changes, you would either hire somebody who had some coding skills to customize a template, or in some cases you might use a plugin like Elementor. Now, to me, plugins like Elementor are less necessary today. I don't see the need for them in my work, but other people disagree. The Elementor plugin is available, or at least the base free version of the Elementor plugin is available on the Toastmost site. So there are some clubs that have asked for access to that, and so it's something that I make available. I don't offer a lot of support for it because I've never used it. I don't have expertise in that. And also the RSVP Maker plugin is something I use because it's mine. I know exactly how it works and I know how to modify it. And I've been able to, it was originally just a plugin for event registration and event publicity, but I've layered on the capability to do the agenda management there. But I do have people who will use RSVP Maker to advertise the events, and then they will use Zoom registration, for example. So they will include a link or a button that goes to a Zoom registration page for an event rather than using my built-in RSVP function. Okay. You can, by the way, change the name of the button. By default is just RSVP now. In that RSVP is like an old-fashioned respond very promptly was what they used to write on invitation cards. So it's just something that we picked up as part of that nomenclature. We've gone a full hour, and so I think I should invite our MC to help wrap us up. Please, I will post once again in the chat my contact information and some links to some of the things that I showed you. Please feel free to follow up with me by email with additional questions. Mr. Hassan, if it would be helpful for us to meet one-on-one at some point, we probably could get arranged that. And mostly I'm here to encourage people to give this a try. Vandita, would you like to wrap up?
Thank you so much, David. You are a patient teacher, and I think I should learn that virtue from you. You're very patient with the questions, with the queries, and you're very detailed in your answers. And I think that is what has helped the people here. Even though, it was a moderate audience, but it was an enriching session. One will teach so many, so the knowledge will spread. And I'm sure the contribution that you have made to our district, it will spread widespread. With that, I would like to express my thankful gratitude to you, David, for coming and, taking out time of your busy schedule and teaching us, your students, how to manage the club website better. With that, on behalf of District 124 family, I officially adjourn the session. If there are any queries, you may reach out to the PR team led by Rohan Nag DTM. Due to certain emergencies, he couldn't come. So yeah, he will take it up with David. If anyone has any feedback, you can give once I stop the recording.